what you believe in. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. Speak up and let your voice be heard. There is power in wisdom.
Basil was a man ahead of his time.
He brought a degree of civility and caring to everybody that he met.
He was unflappable.
This is an individual who is so concerned with helping others and assisting.
Well, I grew up in a working class community in Wellington Town, which is in eastern Kingston. What I think makes that community so special, but it was quite class variegated in the sense that it was a community where you had professionals, you had working class people, you had middle class people, and you had poor folks. But I think what made it special is that you had a number of sporting clubs in the area. You had Wembley Athletic Club, you had Lucas, you had Kensington, and to the south you had Doncaster. And I spent many years in Doncaster Youth Club playing competitive soccer. We were also juxtaposed to the sea, so we spent a lot of summers going to Bournemouth, going to gunboat, swimming, just enjoying life. It was just, a tremendous time. Growing up in Jamaica, the amount of friends that you had, the competitive that existed in terms of playing cricket, soccer, table tennis. I first started school at Vaz Preparatory, which is on Dunan Road and Jackson Road. Then when I completed my work at Vaz, I went on to Kingston College. So I did go to KC. I went to KC from 1955 to 1961. I take great pride that I played 3 years of Manning Cup football at KC. In fact, quite maybe obscenely, I spent a whole year in school specifically to play Manning Cup football. That was in 61. I was in sixth form, but I did not intend to take that examination that you take at the second year in sixth form. So at the end of that Manning Cup season, I migrated to the United States.
Don't let them tell you that you are worthless, 'cause you're not.
A culture shock is unavoidable coming to the United States over. One of the things that I found quite amazing is that when I first lived in Jamaica, Queens. My aunt had purchased a home on 176 2nd Street and 111th Avenue off Merrick Boulevard. And the first night I got there, I thought there was a party going on. The amount of cars that were parked on the streets, because by that time in Jamaica, cars were in existence, but they weren't, we weren't suffering from traffic congestions, and they weren't as bountiful as they are now. So I thought there must have been a party taking place on the block. You got to get accustomed to the weather. I mean, coming from the tropics, and I had a part-time job in the 60s where I had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and deal with the biting cold. Having gloves and sweaters, and here's a young man coming from the tropics. So you begin to say, why the hell did I get here? And I first came to the States in 1962. I just left high school, and there was the understanding in my family that once I completed high school, I would have gone to the States and do higher education work. I came specifically to New York to another sister of my mother, and sojourned in New York and began my undergraduate education at Queens College.
Speak up and let your voice be heard. There is power in wisdom. There is power.
I completed my coursework at the Graduate Center by 1974.
We rose through the ranks, became associate professors and became full professors, and Basil became chair of the African American Studies Department.
As a tenured professor, in order to be promoted or to be respected, you have to really produce a certain level of scholarship, and I took that quite serious. But I think that what I found most gratifying was really the interaction with students. I mean, for me then, to really have a student in the classroom and to get that student excited about learning and to encourage that student to go on to do graduate work, if not to go on to do a Ph.D. there's nothing that I'd find more scintillating, more thrilling than to really get students to contribute to the world of the mind and to become faculty members or to become professionals in many respects. One of the things about John Jay is that many students who come there are not only interested in law enforcement or criminal justice, but many of them aspire to go on to law school.
In 1989, the students took over the building that we're sitting in now.
This college had some serious problems. The students took over buildings. There were lots of very serious conflicts.
And they had a series of protests around some issues that related to CUNY in general, like the fact that tuition was being raised.
The feeling on the part of a number of the black students, and I should say others as well, was that there was a need for a changing of the guard. They looked around and they saw administratively that there were few, if any at all, faculty or administrative persons who looked like them.
Basil and I were two professors who thought that the students had a lot of serious issues that needed to be discussed and dealt with by the faculty administration, and we were part of a faculty support group for the students. The following year, 1990, there were again takeovers of buildings. The provost, who was in place at that time, said that he was leaving John Jay to become president at Mercy College. It was virtually unanimous among the chairs. At that time I was chair of thematic studies, but it was virtually unanimous among the chairs that his name be put forward to the president at the time, Jerry Lynch, to be the acting provost.
That was certainly one of the demands of the students, that they wanted a person of color to begin to occupy, or persons of color, I should say, to occupy strategic administrative posts at the college and throughout CUNY.
He didn't have the job permanently. He had to apply for the permanent job of provost, which he eventually got.